As a social science researcher, you have probably collected survey data or experimental data with one record per person, some demographic and behavioral information about that person, and the outcome variable. For the purpose of this tutorial series, I've downloaded data from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. It's the Gambling Impact and Behavior Study Adult Survey. The raw data looks like this. You can import this data directly and start modeling, but to make the tutorials easier to follow, I use the code book that comes with the data to recode the information into descriptive questions and descriptive answers. The code book shows us that question A1, for instance, is about gender, 1 being male, 2 being female. Anything measured on a Likert scale I left as a number. Likert scale responses include strongly agree, agree, somewhat agree, disagree, strongly disagree, which is then converted to a number, usually on a scale from 1 to 5 or 1 to 7. After using some Excel formulas to recode the data, we end up with a file that's a bit more user-friendly that looks like this. Now, I dropped the SUID column. Question A1, as I said, refers to gender, 1 being male, 2 being female. Question A3 from the code book referred to hispanicity, and so on. It's much easier to interpret now. If you have a data file and simply don't know where to start, or can't even get it open because it's in some unfamiliar format, send an email to us at admin@preddle.com. Although Preddle is designed to be self-serve, we do offer data consulting and modeling services to help you through your sticky problems. Each record or row are survey answers for an individual. You may know these as cases. There were 2,947 individuals in this survey. Questions are asked about school level achieved, attending religious services, gambling activity, income, debt, and all sorts of things. This data is just to illustrate how to use Preddle, so if you're interested in the specifics of this study, I suggest you go to the website and download the data and the codebook. Now, the intent of this study was to see what socioeconomic and behavioral factors are correlated with gambling problems. To determine how much of a gambling problem each respondent has, they were asked questions like, have you ever filed for bankruptcy for gambling or committed crimes to pay for gambling? Each of these were asked in two ways. Have you done this in the past year, such as filing for bankruptcy here? And have you ever done this in your lifetime, such as ever filing for bankruptcy in your lifetime? But for each of the two versions of the question, past year versus ever, these were summed up to give these two variables here. Number of gambling problems past year and number of gambling problems lifetime. Most people score 0. The vast majority score 0. But if we look at a summary of the counts of these two variables over here, you can see that some people do score 1, 2, 3, etc. The higher the score, the worse the gambling problem. These are the response variables. Depending on your background, you may call response variables outcome variables or dependent variables. The other questions in the survey are the predictor variables. You may know these as independent variables. We are interested in how predictor variables like gender, race, or income affect the level of self-reported problem gambling. We can build a model for past year gambling problems and a model for lifetime gambling problems. It's worth briefly noting at this point that the gambling problems aren't normally distributed. Normally distributed means that they have a bell curve shape. In this case, the response is very right skewed. Right skewed means that it has a tail tapering off like this. This will be important later, but the key thing to note for now is that traditional statistical measures in psychology and the social sciences, like t-tests and ANOVA, require assumptions of normality, which this data violates. We don't need something to be normally distributed to use Preddle. There are some variables here that are not answers to questions, i.e. are neither predictors nor responses. Here we've got a population weight field. The people that collected this data seem to have attached the number of people in the population represented by this one respondent. You can't survey everyone. They surveyed 2,947 people and then said that based on their demographic profile, this person represents 43,000 people, or this person represents 52,000 people. This sample weight seems to be the population weight value scaled down by a constant to make the average in this column equal to 1. This number here is easier to work with, so in modelling we will use this sample weight column. So once you've got your data like this and understand what it means, you need to upload it to Preddle. The data needs to be in CSV format with commas as the field separator. This is a really common format. If you're working in Excel, you can save in CSV format like this. Just select CSV, delimited, star.csv. As you can see, I've already done this. If you're working in another package and aren't sure how to save data to CSV format, just Google how to save CSV file in whatever software package you're using. You can either upload the CSV file directly, or to reduce the size and data transfer time, upload a zip file containing a CSV file. If you upload a zip file, this archive can only contain one file, the CSV file, which needs to have exactly the same name. In this example, we have gambling.zip containing gambling.csv.